Was he moved over or ran over by car. It was fabricated by KGB. They wanted to kill me and not to let me go. And I was taken to hospital. Doctors did anything they could to help me, but I was declared dead.
This is pretty much all over the world. We found this common pattern. They tell us that at this point where their doctor says they are dead, that they may actually hear the physician say, oh my, he's dead, or we've lost her, or something like that. And they say that from their perspective, actually, they still feel very much alive. Indeed, their consciousness is heightened. And they tell us that they seem to leave their physical bodies. They say that they float up, typically right above the bed in the operating room or the emergency room, and they look down and they can see their own physical bodies lying on the bed down below.
I was above my body. I was floating, and there were people around me, except I didn't realize that that person there was me.
Then all of a sudden I heard this statement, he's gone, he's gone. And it was the paramedic making that statement to the driver. At that point, I was standing behind the paramedic. I was watching him work on my body.
And suddenly there was commotion beneath me, and then I started noticing all of the people underneath me, and the EMS workers were pushing the stretcher down the hall, and I really wasn't concerned with my body. I was more concerned with, there were a couple of plainclothes policemen over where the guns were, and one of them was wrong about something, and I was trying to tell him that he was wrong.
And I could see the soldiers and the nurses and the doctors, but they could not see me. And I went from ward to ward, bed to bed, trying to find a soldier that I thought that looked like me lying in the bed. I was becoming more and more desperate because, as I say, I could see these human beings, but I could not communicate with them. Finally, I went into this little isolated ward room. And sure enough, lying in the bed with the sheet pulled up over the head was this body that I had to recognize as me because it had my fraternity ring on its finger.
And there was this slight buzzing at the ear, and I felt myself pop out of the body. I don't know how I came out. I was just suddenly out of the body. And I sat down on the head of the bed a minute to look around. Then I felt myself float up to the ceiling, and I was looking down, and he said, she's gone, and I couldn't believe it, and I thought, well, who's gone? And I was trying to look down to see, and I felt presences with me. Guardian angels is what they were, but I called them guides.
I was suddenly looking at this light that seemed to be in the corner of the room, but the first thing I thought was, where did you come from? And she said, I've always been here, but you weren't able to see me before. The reason I use she is because she emanated feelings of selflessness, love, all-consuming love, understanding, kindness, and those were attributes that I thought of as being feminine.
After a while in this, they say that they begin to feel an indescribable feeling of bliss, that it's something that transcends words, that we can't put it into the language that we have in everyday life. One man, for instance, told me that although he was in great pain in his chest prior to leaving his body, as soon as he left his body, that he was overcome with a tremendous sense of joy and peace, a kind of ecstasy.
There was absolute freedom of your soul and body, and this amazed me. And this was very interesting too. I was happy to be in such experience because I could see their thoughts. I could see everything what was happening. I could smell, I could hear, and I could see their thoughts. This was the main thing what was very, very making me happy and proud. I don't know if this word is good to use here or not, but I'm proud of that I can see their thoughts.
But I can remember that it felt very exciting to be above and to be out and looking down and not threatening at all.
Then I knew I was supposed to be keeping up with my body, so I followed my body through the hall and out the front door. And there's something about being outside when you're out of your body, but when I got outside, it was just wonderful. But it seemed like I was always just kind of looking through the ambulance because I was enjoying being outside. It's really kind of a nice experience with the lights and everything and the feeling of lightness.
As I have come out, I'm in no pain, but I'm also just free of everything. I'm no one's wife, mother, or daughter. I'm just myself alone.
I have the distinct memory of always trying to look at myself and thinking how much better looking I thought I was than that. Because this guy was ugly, he was in trouble, and he had these blue lines all down his face. And I was happy, truly happy, to be away from that body. They could have it. And I did not feel one bit of remorse or sadness, no matter what had happened.
But it was not bothering me. I saw my body and I hated it, and I didn't want to come to my body back.
It looked like this sort of feeble, sick person. And it didn't dawn on me until it seemed like many minutes later, I'm sure it was a flash, that that person was me. And that they were trying to revive me because I was dying. And in fact, my heart had stopped.
There's a skeptical part of me, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder sometimes whether or not this might just be people's hallucinations that they're going through, or just a natural shutting down process when the brain is dying.
Mm-hmm. I used to wonder about that myself, Peter. What has turned me around on that issue is that so often these patients are able to give us very correct descriptions of what was going on during the resuscitation from a point of view they couldn't have had from the perspective of that physical body lying on the table. For instance, my friend Kim, who works at a medical university out west, was telling me that she was involved in resuscitating a young patient named Maria. And Maria had been believed dead, but was successfully revived. And when she came back to consciousness, my friend Kim happened to be standing there by her bedside. And Maria grabbed onto Kim and said, during the resuscitation, when she was out of her body, she drifted outside of the hospital entirely and saw an old shoe on a ledge on a window outside an upper floor of the hospital. And Kim was actually able to go there and to verify that the shoe was there exactly as the patient had specified.
Really?
And all of a sudden, I'm aware of people out in the hall. The room had been sealed off because he was going to do surgery in the room. So I immediately went out through the door, did not open it, just went out. I was immediately on the other side in the hall. But I go up to my daughter and I try to make her hear me. Kathy, go home and change your clothes. I couldn't make her hear me, so I went to her dad. I said, Judd, take Kathy home, change her clothes. She shouldn't be out like this. While they were in the hall, and I was trying to send them home, a brother of my husband's came up. And he was talking to him, and he had gotten worried to come. And one of his neighbors was also in the hospital, and he came up and started talking to my brother-in-law, wanting to know what he was doing at the hospital and what he was going to do that weekend. He said, well, it looks like my sister-in-law is going to kick the bucket, and I was planning to go to Athens, but I'll stick around now to be a pallbearer. Later, I was also able to talk to him. He did want to admit